as I mentioned earlier, I said we're talking about identity. So once you are talking about identity, the number one thing we'll be talking about is you can see user access security. User access security. And we are talking about user access security, we still need to refer back to one of what we were taught during Entra ID, which is authentication and authorization. So before we continue, I don't know if you still remember, you can drop the definition she gave us, or what you understand by authentication and authorization in the chat group. So let's just do that with few seconds so I'll know where to pick it from. The definition of authorization and authentication. I'm waiting. Use your English. Don't go to AI and get definitions. Use your own terms. I'm waiting. I know Madam Titi, I think one of that day she was having issue also, and Joseph also talked about authorization and authentication. I can remember vividly. So what do we understand by authorization and authentication? That will help us and to go a lot on what we have tonight. So I'm waiting. I've not seen any chat. I've not seen any chat. I've not seen any chat. Authentication and authorization. Can you hear me out though? Okay. Aisha. Aisha is always the first person to answer questions. Authorization is giving access. Authentication is the process to give access. Okay. Okay. Okay, so thank you everybody. You actually got it right. So authentication is validating a user's identity, which is what we'll be talking about majorly today. So one of the way we validate a user identity is what is password. Using password. I'm coming, please. Sorry, I think I'm having some challenges. Few minutes, please. Okay. So as I said earlier, um, one of the way we verify identity, which is authentication, is password. Password. So we'll be talking majorly on password today. I'll be talking from the admin aspect of it, though we might mention some user aspect of it, but majorly today to be admin aspect of password. You know, password looks so simple to us. So if I may ask, what is the meaning of password? If I may ask, what is the meaning of password? What is the meaning of password? You know, we can easily say it. Oh, I've passworded my phone. Nobody have access to it. Oh, I have to put some password. I have to put some password on my system. I have to do this. What to know? Password is what to know. Okay. Encryption. Okay. Who else? A means of verification. Okay. A unique number. Okay. It can be alphanumeric. It can even involve special characters. Gateway. Okay. Thank you. I always love interactive section. I just wish everybody can unmute at some point and speak. But however, somebody said it's sweet word or number. to gain access. Okay. So we'll be talking majorly on password today. All the definitions are actually correct. So password majorly is a secret string of character used to verify a user's identity and grant access to a system or service. So it depends on how you actually want to put it. So what do we need to know about password? One, you should know that there are policies around password that is guiding all this password that we are saying around. Just to set um password. Just wake up one day, just feel like, okay, let me just put this password on my system, then I'm good to go. No, no, no. It doesn't work like that. So why do we make use of password? There's three things why we make use of password: to resist common attacks, which is very, very common these days. You see, especially those that have teenagers at home. You will see the more you keep changing your password, the more they keep having access to your devices, and you'll be wondering how were they able to guess my password. So to just resist some common attack from external users or theft. And also, password is used to minimize damage. That is, if perhaps they have access to your system, password is what you can also still use to minimize the kind of damage that will be done to the system, because you can quickly reset your password and log that user out by doing that. A fingerprint, yes, will still get there. And also, password help us to secure our application and services. And when we are talking about password, so we need to understand three things: resisting common attack, containing successful attack, and understanding human nature. I won't be surprised if some of us that we are in this program, if you ask them their password, you will see them, it will be combination of maybe their third name and their date of birth, or I think that is very common with credit and debit card. Most people use their date of birth not until when banks started screaming, stop using your date of birth. People can easily guess your password and get your money, and you not be able to trace them. But I won't be surprised, because we still have people that use 1 2 3 4 4 3 2 1 as their debit card and credit card password. I know some of us, yeah, you're already shouting or screaming, this person is talking about me. So we'll talk about some of them today. So why am I speaking all this grammar? I'm just giving us a background knowledge before I start sharing my screen in the admin center. Then we'll start talking about everything regarding password, from the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, then straight down to the extra ID protection also. So we'll talk about some things there. However, I'm not sure we'll be able to enable some things, but as Rafiah said earlier, that we all have access, guilty as charged, we all have access to the Microsoft 365 admin center, then we can do some hands-on. But however, I'm not sure the roles that is assigned to us will be able to do all of what we'll be talking about today, because as I said earlier, it will be a security breach if you have access to everything. Since we don't have full knowledge of how most of this thing works, before you know, you can kick your friend or your classmates out of the tenants. Meanwhile, you'll be giving Rafiat headache, because she'll be looking in, the customers will come. I'm unable to sign in, I'm unable to do this. Then Rafiat to start looking for what went wrong, what was missing. So we can just jot them down. When we have our own tenants, they can always make use of it. And meanwhile, I think I have noticed Aisha very well. I don't know if it's allowed in the community. If it's allowed in the community, if she can reach out to me after the class, maybe tomorrow or next, I will add her to my own tenants. I'll add her to my own tenants and give her admin role, a global admin role, so she can do as much as she wants with that one. Aisha only. Aisha only. So let's proceed. So what is the next thing we have here? Let me see. Now, wow. Yes, now because I've noticed that yesterday also, any question I ask, she's always the first person to answer. My name is Aisha. Okay, so the number two things we'll be doing tonight is MFA. We call it multi-factor authentication, but commonly known in Microsoft as MFA, but other application they call it 2FA. Whichever way you want to call it, just know that this is what they are talking about. Why do you have to use 2FA? You see it along the line that password is not enough. Password is not enough. So that is why we have to introduce 2FA also. So now we'll be going directly to our admin center. Let me see which of them do I have open. Okay. So the first thing we'll be talking about is under the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. So I said yesterday for us to go to the Admin Center. So you can see on my screen, Admin. Okay, so I'm just trying as fast as I can. So you can see what we have on the screen. So we always click on show all for you to be able to have everything that you needed. Also, somebody reached out yesterday that they were unable to see some of the admin center. As I said, it might be due to the role that is assigned to you. You might not be able to see some. I should kindly zoom in. Joseph, can you see my screen? Wow,
Today, but it's a bit small, so if you can zoom it, you can zoom it a bit, it will be better because it's
wow.
appearing very small here.
Maybe because I'm using my bigger screen.
Yeah, just a little zoom in would be nice. I think it's
Yeah.
better from my end this way, except for those that are using phones.
Okay, what
But
about now for
yeah, I think
others?
it's far better now. You can go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you, boss. Okay, so for those that were complaining yesterday that I did not see this in the admin center, I did not see that. I mentioned it that if you come here, you see all the admin, and I believe one of our mentor have mentioned this in the past. You see, you have all the admin center here, depending on the role you have and the license you have in your tenant, that will determine what you have here. You can see all what I have here. I don't have Copilot because I don't have the license. So you can't see Copilot in my tenants yet. So which is not where we are going today actually. So today, once you come to the admin center, we just want to check some security policy in the organization that pertain to password authentication um actually. So we go to settings, then from settings we go to org settings. So where we are going is security and privacy. Security and privacy. So I believe everybody can see my screen. So yesterday, remember somebody was talking about inactive and some other things. We still look at it more, but the one we have here in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, you can see I do section timeouts, which means if a user is on Microsoft 365 application on the web, then after some time, the application will time out depending on what the admin sets on that application. So probably admin said after 5 minutes, 10 minutes, the application should time out. Why do we need to set idle session timeout for our users? You know, some of us we are so careless that when we stand up from our system, we don't bother to lock our system. In my present organization, there were some things that happened. We have our cyber security guys, and once they found you that you stood up from your system without locking your screen, then they will send email to your manager, copy the HR. that you are tired of working, you want to resign, you don't know how to say it, but you are using this opportunity to inform them that you are leaving. Meanwhile, you are not the one that sent it. Remember yesterday when we were talking about Bill Gates and Dangote's email. So to let you know that your own email also is your own identity, it is who you are within an organization. So users can easily stand up from their system. There are some users, once they hear about food is ready, or it's time for break, or the dispatch is there to deliver your food. Because of that excitement, they might just stand up from their PC without having to log it. And so, which is one of the reason. Don't forget what we are talking about. We are talking about security and what compliance, security and compliance. So I'm just discussing the basic aspect of it. So I'm touching everything one after the other so we can say it. So I can click on the I do section. Hope everybody can see the pop-up box. I don't want to assume that my screen is big enough for everybody to see. Can you see the pop-up box clearly, or do I still need to zoom in? Okay, thank you, Mustafa. So you can see if I decide to turn it on, then you ask me, can you see hours? I can decide to customize to minutes or whichever way I want it. Then so if I set this now, then user will time out after few seconds. But what is the disadvantage of this? It means user will need to authenticate, especially users that do leave their screen idle often. They have to authenticate again and again and again. And that can be so annoying and frustrating. It's just like you having your mobile with you, then you set your um lock screen to maybe like 1 seconds, while you're on maybe any of the social media app or you're doing something. Maybe just take your eyes off for a few seconds, then before you come back there, your screen is locked while it's still on your palms. For you to unlock, maybe you're getting some information again, you check your screen have locked again. It will be so frustrating and annoying. So especially maybe you're in a meeting and you're trying to just get some facts and information to put down. So what if you log out before leaving your PC? Would this still, I'm not sure I get that question. So that is it for I do session. I'll not be saving it. I think I have some other people on my tenants. Any changes I make might affect them. So the second part we'll be going about is the password expiration policy. Password expiration policy. As you can see now, I said majorly we'll be talking about password. Everything we'll be talking today will be around password and MFA. So as you can see, by default, this is not always enabled. You have to enable it for users as admin. You need to enable it for users as admin. You can see we have 90 days. Then after 90 days, users will be forced to reset their password. Meanwhile, I think most company they do 60 days. In my company, we do 45 days. So depending on wherever your security department agrees to, we determine. But don't forget, all what we are talking about here is majorly for Microsoft 365 technologies. Every technology that's attached to Microsoft 365. We are not talking about Windows or anything that have to do with your system basically. So we are talking about Microsoft 365 alone in case you want to ask your question, so you can limit it to around what you are saying. But however, if you still have a confusion around that also, you can always ask. As I said yesterday, I'm not the only one here. I have my boss, my colleagues and others that are learned to that are ready to answer your question. So as I was saying, so this also depends on your company policy. Why do you have to use password expiration? Why do you have to use password expiration? If you don't use password expiration, let me assume you sign in on someone's PC. you sign in on someone's PC, there's urgent thing you need to do, especially those of us that are remote workers. You just went to your friend's place. Oh, let me just say hello to my friend I saying there. Meanwhile, you told the organization that you are going out to buy to get some food or to pick something from your estate gate. And from there, you divert everything to your friend's house, and they call you that they need one data or one information or the other. You need to sign in to your mailbox. You just call your friend. Oh, can I borrow your PC? Let me quickly sign in and do what and get this information, or and send this email. Then after sending the email, you just forget to do what, to sign out from that person's PC. Why do you forget? Because you believe that person is your friend, though you feel comfortable around that person. So you felt the person cannot harm you. In cybersecurity, there's something we call zero trust. Zero trust. Trust nothing. Nothing at all. Trust no human, trust no gadgets. Just make sure you do your own assignments. So this is one of the reasons why we have password expiration. So after some days, that password will do what? It will expire. So imagine that person using I think imagine using that person have been waiting for a right time, or they have been tracking the transaction, how things are done in your mailbox, and they are looking for the right time to strike. Before you know it, will just what to sign them out. And for those of us that link our PC, uh our WhatsApp to our PC or to another application, you see that after some days, it will ask you to do what, to re-authenticate again. So the same thing like what we have here on our screen. So we have password expiration policy also. So the next one, you can see privilege access. Privilege access. So not everybody that actually needs every access to everything in your organization. Let me assume that I'm a contract worker in your organization, so and I need access to some data. And that data, I don't really need much, just the data I needed, but I will need some rule to perform some changes on the data, or some update and some other things I need to do within the application or the data. Then you can use the privilege access request to do this. You can use the privilege access request to do this. You can say, so you can, whenever I request access to that data, then you can set up a group of people that will do what, that will approve the access. They will check, why is this person wanting to access this data. If it's somebody they can reach out to, they ask reason why you are doing this. And some of us that are familiar with SharePoint very well. You see at times they will send you some link for some data or some information on SharePoint. Then they will ask you uh to access it. By the time they give you the link, you see, it will ask you to request access. Then it will give you a small box asking you reason why you need access to this data or this information. And once you send it, maybe after a few minutes or few seconds, the user will do what, we we approve your access. Then you'll be able to see that data or that information that the link was given to. For the fact that you have the link does not really mean that you have access to what, to it. So that is that for privilege access. And service password reset, which is from where we will go to our enter ID. We'll go to our enter ID. You can see now we have been told that we no longer have it here again. It has been moved. It has been moved. So what is service password reset? I think from our screen we can always see what is there. In some organization, you can't just wake up one day and say you want to reset your own password. Eh, it won't work. You won't be able to change the password. You have to reach out to your admin to change your password for you. So for you to be able to change the password, and some organization, they are federated with local ID, which I think we have been taught during Entra ID and exchange on-prem. So some identity are federated with Active Directory. So if it's federated with Active Directory, you might not be able to change your password only if you are given those privilege. There are some things that needs to be done on your AD while it is being synced to Office 365 for you to be able to change your password. But for cloud only users, you have to enable this for you to be able to change your password. And if you see what we've discussed about so far, so we also have strong password. We also have what is called strong password. Strong password. So we have how should I put it now? The simple password and the strong password. Before now, my system password used to be spacebar. So I just press spacebar at once. You know, space is also a character. So I'll press space bar at once and press enter. That has always been my password for years since my university days. Once you get to my laptop, you might guess everything. You'll not be able to get my password. My password is just press a space bar and enter. That is my password, which is I think is one of the simplest passwords so far. One of the simplest passwords so far. However, with that password, I can tell you that my system is not secure. Anybody can mistakenly press a space bar and press enter, and before they know, they will have access to my system. So we have the simple password and we have the um, complex password. So which I'll be talking about also then um, before we move to Entra ID. So for the strong password. So in Microsoft, strong password contains some characters. Is It has minimum of 14 character and don't require character composition like our dollar sign, percentage and some other things. And it don't require mandatory periodic password reset for users accounts. So I'm talking about the strong password. However, the simple password you can decide to use. Let me assume my name is Olajide Ige Joseph. So since when they are creating my account, they only use Olajide Ige, I can decide to use Joseph as my password. And somebody that know me as Joseph can decide to go to my account one day and say, let me just try Joseph. Or let me just try today. Since I know his birthday, let me add it to it. And before you know, they will have access to my account. So both the strong and the simple password, they all have their advantage and disadvantage. What is the advantage of simple password? Simple password give the users privilege to use simple words that might be difficult for hackers to do what to get, that might be difficult for hackers to get or a theft. But some organization, I think I've once worked with a customer. He said their organization supports some disabled users, so they can't make use of strong password. So they have some blind, they have some cripple, and some other thing, and they have some teenage in their organization. So they don't want the strong password. They want the simple password. So we have to change it from strong password to simple password because by default Microsoft make use of the strong password only if you decide to disable it. And if you want to disable it, you can only use PowerShell. I can share that PowerShell in the group. Just give me a few seconds. Give me a few seconds. Let me share the PowerShell in the group. So it's actually a Microsoft document, so you can get it from that document. So while I'm trying to share the document, so also for strong password, strong password often at times make it more difficult for users and make it more easier for theft because now I have to use strong password. It has to come combination of special character, numbers, lowercase, this and that. So a password I've get familiar to is what I will always want to use. Let me assume my password is Olajide at 123. By the time I'm asked to change my password again, then the next thing I will do is I will just make it Olajide at maybe 1 2 or 3 2 1. And you can see somebody that once have access to my password, or where my password have been linked before, can easily guess that password. I'm coming. Where's this document? So which is, I'm coming. Where's the group? So this talks a lot about password also. So at the bottom of it, you will see how to disable strong password for users, how to disable strong password for users. So as I was saying, so strong password make it difficult for users most of the time, but and it also give users headache. Yeah, in my organization several times I've seen people start screaming, do I have to change my password again? The last one I've tried, this, that, this. You see users lamenting, can you just do something about this password change all the time? The reason why they are screaming is because you have strong password policy. You can't use by default in Microsoft, though if you are integrating it from local AD or some other federation, you might need to set it from there. But in Microsoft, by default, you can't make use of your previous password while you are changing your password. Let me assume my previous password is Solomon 123. So my next password cannot be Solomon again 123. So it has to be something else. I can't make use of the previous password. Okay, maybe this time around I now did Solomon 321. If I go back there again after that period, I need to change my password. If I now still go back with Solomon 123, it will still tell me the same error. I think it will take after several months before you be able to use the old password again. So which is that on strong password. So I would have loved the reason why password is not enough. I would have loved to explain it now, but I think we should just go to our Entra ID. So see some things there first, then before we now start going to reason why password is not actually enough. If you see that from the explanation I've given so far, you see that password is not enough. That's why you see even on our mobile. Yes, it's dynamic. So even on our mobile, you can see that password is not enough. Then they have to come with fingerprints, face ID, some other means of authenticating aside from password. And you see that most time your mobile will give you privilege of adding 2 3 ways of authenticating. In case there is one, you have issues with one, you can always make use of another. So we'll still talk about that. Why is our time flying? So let me not jump. My boss have told me to stop jumping anytime I'm here. So let me close this. I will have click on this. It will take us directly to the safe service password, but it will be as if we jumped the curriculum. They can see it took us direct to this, which is not what we want to. We don't want to skip our curriculum. So once you sign into the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, as I said earlier, once you want to navigate to any admin center, the easiest way for you is to do what? To go to the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. And we also have one cheat that I was taught by one of my mentor. I think I did a video on it. CMD.ms. The cmd.ms as the entire Microsoft, depending on what you are looking for. But it has all Microsoft 365 admin that you can always go there directly, navigate to any of the admin, not only Microsoft 365, Azure. Let me just say all Microsoft technology. If you go to cmd.ms, it has all that admin, just a easier way for you to navigate um yourself around the technologies. So you don't have to start cramming and exchange dot admin dot, no, 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 no. So today you can see we have our admins. We are still coming back to our purview and defender. So today we'll be talking majorly on identity. So enter identity. So before we proceed to enter identity, if you have any question, please let me know. My own admin center is not showing almost all the options. Yes, I make mention it from the beginning. If you are with us, I said most of what we are going to discuss, they are how do I put it? They are security bridge if you actually have access to everything. I can't. Somebody said she can't see my screen. Please, can you see my screen? Can you see my screen? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Kelechi. So, peace. Maybe you leave the meeting and join back. Maybe you leave and join back. So, as I mentioned earlier, that you will not be able to see most of these things because of the role that is assigned to you. Because of the role that is assigned to you. So, you don't have access to all this. If they give you access to it, you still don't know your way majorly around this Microsoft 365 technology. You might end up signing all the users out of the tenants knowingly or unknowingly. Okay, let me share something with you. Just something funny that happened. So my where I work firstly as Microsoft 365 technical support, I did support for Exchange Enterprise. So after we went live, so you do training for some weeks. So after that training, they will tell you to go live. Going live means to start supporting real customer, not the mock call we do often. So my first customer I will support, so it was having issues from local AD to syncing to Office 365. So I was told to work with the customer and I started working with the customer. So at the end of the day, customer came with headache, but customer went back home with body pain, headache, eye pain, stomach ache, in short, everything. Because at the end of the day, I break the customer sink, nothing was sinking again. The entire tenant, everything just scattered. So what am I trying to say? If we don't know our way around the admin center, we can't just be given those privilege I'm talking about. Somebody can just go somewhere and just click on something, and before you know, you've deleted maybe 10 of your friends, or you've logged out even the entire admin we have in that tenant, and nobody will have access to it again. So sorry, we don't. Uh, Sorry that I don't have access to it. And you can do what is it called now? Microsoft 365 admin center. That is trial tenants. I think it's for 30 days. Then with that, you should have privilege to all those things. Aside from that, as I said before, I think Aisha is exempted from it. I will give her access to one of my tenants. She can do and undo with that tenant, not this particular tenant. That tenant is strictly for reproducing issues, so she can decide to do whatever she like with it. So another question we have here: in the case of strong password, how come hackers are able to gain access to one's account? Is the authentication or authorization porous? Okay, so the first question I will ask you is gender bias. It's not gender bias, Mustafa. Yesterday I discovered that whenever I ask question, she's always the first person to answer. We use the same group, so you can scroll up yesterday chat and search for Aisha. You see, she's always either the first person of in the first five people that will answer those questions. So that's why I'm giving her that privilege, not because she's Aisha. If it was a guy, also I would have done the same thing. So as you are saying, so the first question I will ask you is how. are hackers able to hack people's WhatsApp. So you can't say those people are not smart enough or they know nothing. So, but however, the hackers were able to find themselves to hack their own mobile phone application that they make use of every day. They have the mobile with them, but somebody somewhere, not maybe not even within Nigeria, was able to hack that password. So the strong password too, and two, at times, lazy us. Once we sign into our browser and we have what is it called, Google Chrome. So on our email, there is password manager. We save all our password to our email. That next time once we come and we want to sign in, we just bring the password and we sign in automatically. Then we don't need to start cracking our head or start, what did I make use of the last time I changed this. Now imagine somebody now have access to your email. You know that definitely the person will have access to a lot of application that you have access to due to your email that was breached. So I'm still coming. So once the person have access to it, then there will be problem. All the application you have saved on your, let's assume you save Microsoft 365 Admin Center, your LinkedIn, uh, what is it called again? Other applications that you make use of often. Let's assume Jumia. Let me see again. Maybe your crypto wallet, our exchange, maybe Binance and some other one, Gates.io and some other thing. You know that there will actually be some issues if the user have access to all those things from your system. So that's why we are saying that strong password is not enough. And if you give me most of the users if most of the users, if you ask them to send you their last three password, from their last three password you'll be able to guess their current password. Why? Because it's a complex password. Imagine that I can just use GD as my password. There is no how I will forget GD. And they asked me to change my next password to another I was asked to change my password again. I can use Ola. So it's as simple as that. But however, when I have complex password, I want to use something I can always do what? Remember. So I can use Olajide at 123. And maybe while I was signing to your PC, you already have my password. And we are fond of something again. Some of us we like using one password for all our applications, the same password for everything because we don't want to forget. If I want to sign into my Binance, Olajide at 123. If I want to sign into Microsoft, Olajide at 123. If I want to sign into my email, Olajide at 123. Everything around me, I'm using the same password. Now imagine a user now get to know your password, and from there, a lot to be at stake. So it's not that authentication and authorization is not strong, but I'm just trying to let you know that it's not enough. As we said yesterday, uh, in this part of the world, you see that most of our houses has fence. You have fence, you add barbed wire, some form of security to the top of your fence so nobody can cross into your compound. Yet you still have gates. After that gate, the entrance of your house still have another gate. Some gates even have bar doors and iron doors like this that it has like 3 4 padlock before the main door that you have to open again. So if you have your compound gate, then why do you still have to put gates in front of your house, not to talk of adding a bar gate to your house again? You still go to your window, you will do the same thing. There are bars everywhere just to make sure that you are secure. So are we saying that your entrance gate is not enough? I know we have the answers to that question now. So let me go to the next question. Does privilege access also provide history of people who have access or try? Yes, it has history of who have access to the data or information. If you remember yesterday, I make mention of audit. So from audit, you can get all these things you are asking for. Those that have access, those that access some applications, and some of the application you don't even need to go to audit. Some of the application will list it from you. I think there's a place in OneDrive and SharePoint that you can always see that. I think you still get to that place where the SharePoint experts and my other mentors, senior colleague are taking you. You will see those ones also. Though we might also get to audit from our end just to check one or two things. So, what password manager will you recommend to mitigate having to track all of a login details? That is why I said password is not enough. So, few weeks ago, one of a friend in one of our forums said that he lost access to his LinkedIn. Why? It was what? It was hacked. It was though he was able to get access back to it. Meanwhile, there are some people that have logged their LinkedIn permanently, especially social media. You hear some people, oh, I don't have access to my Facebook again. I don't have access to my Instagram. I don't have, and if you look at this thing, aside from your personal details that you have there, also some people take their lives to do what? To build their audience. That is where they market their things. Just imagine all of a sudden your shop in Lagos market was just removed. That is the meaning when somebody have access to the platform, social media where you make use of your sales, where you advertise your company, or where you make use of. They just remove your store from the midst of the market, which means there is no market for you any longer. So you have to take whatever it takes to do what, to protect your store. Yes, because typing password every time is stressful. Yes, it's stressful. That's when I was talking about password timeout. So I think the last question here then before we proceed to enter ID. Does it mean that single sign-on is not a good idea? Okay. What you don't understand by the concept of for security setup, it depends on the security you want to set up. It all depends. So you can make use of PowerShell. For those that are with me, I think the attendance form have been dropped in the group. You can do well to fill the attendance form. So as you are saying, you are saying single sign-on. So the major work of single sign-on is this. You can see that when I click admin center, I navigate from one admin center to the other. It's only prompts me to enter my username, which I just click the username because I have more than one. As me, I have just one username for Microsoft 365 admin center. It will have just pick it automatically and open the next application without me having to sign in my username and password again. Do we get it? So how do we get to the enter ID interface? Thank you, Bukola. So that's where we are going next. So I think I did the same thing just now. So can you see? From the admin center, admin.microsoft.com. Once you sign in, then you can go to identity. So identity is where we have the Entra admin center. However, I'm not sure you guys have that role or privilege to do that. I'm not sure the role or privilege given to you will allow you to do anything of such. So, but you can see it from my screen. Once I click on, let me click on it again. So this is what I was explaining about the single sign-on. You can see that I have more than one Microsoft 365 accounts. On my other PC, I have like five of them. So as me, I have just one of them, would have just automatically picked this credential and open my Entra ID for me without me having to sign in again, logging in my password and username. So this is our Entra ID. I believe our teacher have done a lot of justice to many things we have here. So, however, today we'll be going majorly to protection. we'll be going to protection. You can say protection. So we have an overview. Sorry, sorry, it's calling me. Okay. So somebody okay, so we have an overview here for the identity. You can see these are tenant ID, name, primary domain, license. You can see I have Microsoft Entra ID, um, P2, which other thing again. So the reason why I have access to this is because of this license. As I said earlier, I told you they are license based and rule based also for you to have. You might have let me see, maybe your tenant is just business basic you have, or you just have maybe Microsoft 365 Exchange plan one standalone license or kiosk license. There are some license like that. Once you can have it, you have access to the admin center, but you might not have access to the Entra ID. Or if you have access to the Entra ID also, there are a lot of things that you'll not be able to do due to. You can't see my screen. Please, others, can you see my screen? Please let me know if you can see my screen. Yeah, so Shitu, please leave the meeting and join back. Justice, do you have a question? I can see you raising your hand. Justice, are you saying yes to my answer or you have a question? You want me to zoom in again? Okay, I'm doing that. I believe it's okay now, right? So I said earlier, we said username, which is our identity protection. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. So let's continue from where we stop. You can see even from here, the protection overview is giving us a breakdown of the number of global admin we have in the tenants. And you can see that Microsoft is doing what? Is flagging it and is suggesting for me to use a privilege role assignment instead of having 9 administrator in my tenants. You can see it now. They recommend fewer. That is, they should not be more than 5 global admin in one tenant, because now that we have 9 global admin, this account can easily be compromised. Once they have access to one of the global admin accounts, they can hijack this tenant from us. They can hijack this tenant from us. Let me say the reason why we have 9 global admin on this tenant is I have friends and colleagues. This is our main tenants that we used to reproduce a lot of things. That's why I said earlier that I will not want to make any changes to anything here because it might affect others. So you can see that is the reason why we have this sign here letting us know that it's not secure. It's not secure. So if you go through the overview, you see that there are a lot of things there for us, which we'll be talking about one after the other, one after the other. And also, I think let us continue. So the first thing we have here under the identity protection is what is conditional access. Conditional access. Conditional access. So from the name, then you should understand very easy and straightforward what a conditional access means. It means for you to be able to um, access this application or data, there are some conditions you need to meet, and these conditions vary depending on what your security admin sets for you. Like in my present organization and so many organizations I know, So there are some region, there are some country. Once you get to that country, you will be flagged immediately because you are not expected to work from that country. Yes, Busayo, you must meet some conditions for you to be able to do what? To access that data. So that condition varies, but the most common ones are two. They use location and IPs. Location and IPs. That's why we see some people make use of what is it called now? VPN. They make use of VPN just to look as if they are within a particular location. And if you are working with some companies, there are some applications or some system you not be able to access until you tune on your VPN, which means you must be on the company's network for you to be able to access anything within that organization. So, which is one of the conditional um that we have here. Though we might let's try to see if we can set up a policy, but in that policy, we might not implement it. So once you want to set up a conditional access, you can see what we have here. You can see we have the country's location and we have the IP range location. I can see something over there. What is the difference between authentication, context, and strength? Where are you talking about? I'm not sure I'm saying that. If you can send a screenshot of that, I think I will appreciate. So before you can create policy, you have to create under manage. I'm not sure I've clicked on manage yet. Where we have policies. I'm not sure I can see that, but let's continue. If you can send me a screenshot, I will appreciate that. So the first thing we need to do is this. You can see either we had, oh, I've seen it. I've seen it. Authentication context and authentication strength. Don't worry, might get there tonight. But let's talk about the basic things first. As I said earlier, we only make reference to the basic things that we just need. Um, how do my friend used to say it? He says survival first. Survival first. After we survive, we can now talk about luxury. If they give you food now, the first thing is for you to eat to have strength. The next question should not be, why don't you give me meat? Or I don't have any protein on this food. Eat and have strength first. Then you can now start fighting for protein. So the first the first thing we have here is country location and IP range location. So country location and IP range location. So we will click on countries now. Any country outside this country. If you remember yesterday, we were talking about risk users. Risk users. Any country outside this country, the user will not be able to do or to have access to sign in. Any country we do not add here, the users will not be able to have access. I think when the issue between Russia and Ukraine started, most of the European country started restricting access from Russia location. Yeah, in Russia, you not be able to access some companies. What is it called? Application data from Russia. They are doing what? They are blocking the country out so you can't have access to it. So the same thing can be done here. You can see that around the world we have some countries that have been flagged for high um fraud act. So you can decide to point those countries and do what and just make use of if all my company capacity is within the US, all the people that work with me we are within the US. So I don't see reason why I should give access to any other country aside from US. So from the conditional access, I should be able to restrict all users that are signing in to US alone. So anybody that wants to sign in from any other country should not do what? Have access. Should not have access to what? To our application, which is what we have here. Let's just make use of some countries. Let me search. So I will do Nigeria. I will do India. I will do which country again? United States. Okay, United Kingdom, United States. I think we are good. Which name should we give it? I should give it Joseph. I don't know why my boss name keep coming to my mouth today. Or what is coming here is or what is coming to my mouth is Joseph, Joseph, Joseph. So we can decide to use IP also, which we are not actually making use of. But however, the location are determined by the IPs. The location they are actually determined by the what? By the IPs. But it's not for your own to know how Microsoft is doing that. Your own is what? We are adding the location you want, which we have picked some location, then you can go ahead to do what? To create. So we can go ahead to create. So, however, you can see now, not configured in any policy yet. So we can come back to our policy, then you can now do say add policy, policy name. We still give it Joseph. My guy, you know go vex. Let's do one. So users that we want, all users, perhaps, or let me do selected users before I go and sign everybody out. Let me do guest users. Do you have any guest users? Let's do local users. Target resource, all applications. You can see they are giving me warning. Okay, well, let's select some. Let's use all applications since we are not going to implement it. Network, no. Condition selected. You can see it. You can see the risk signing user I'm talking about. So though we don't have any configuration yet, so it's asking us now. Account is compromised. What should we do? You can see or policy enforced. What will happen if we discover that or the system discover that these accounts have been compromised? What should we do? Using this policy, you can see it's asking us now configure user risk level needed for the policy to be enforced. You can see we can set it to high. We can decide to set it to anything we like. That's why I said this thing is organization based. There are some organization they will tell you no, don't do that. Maybe they have wide range of users around the world. They will tell you no, and they have a lot of maybe executives that traveled about around the country. You see that there are some companies, their CEOs move from one nation to other to get deals and some other businesses for their company to keep running, and they go with their maybe executive board of directors around the world. So you will not want to lock them out of their PC. So which is very, very important when we are considering the conditional access. So you can see we have this also. Yeah. Which of other one? Location configured. I'm trying to pick the basic one we just need so that we don't get too confused. Exclude. If we need to exclude any location, you say, but we are not excluding it. What we are doing, sorry, we are excluding these countries alone. That if you are within these countries that we selected earlier, you can do what? You can do and what? And undo. You can do and undo. But anything outside this country, you should not be able to sign in. You should not have access to any of our device. They now said you should grant access also. Which access do you want to grant? Can you see it? So if a user is within outside our organization or outside the location I have specified, and the user wants to have access to our application or our data, what should be required of that users? I can outrightly say block access. Which part of it? I can outrightly say what? Block access, which means don't require anything. Just don't give that person access to anything that we have. However, most company make use of authentication, require multi-factor authentication, which will be maybe our last topic for today. Then before the country we picked, yes, we went to location first. We created the country we want, that we want to give exception to, that, oh, okay, only this country, our users should be only be able to sign in within this country. Anything outside this country, the users should not be able to sign in. And the name we gave it the other time was Joseph. If you remember, the name we gave the location we created was Joseph. So it was Joseph I picked when it was asking us to exclude location. So I went to pick Joseph. Inside Joseph, we have Indian, we have Nigeria, we have UK, and we have US. So only people from this country can sign in. So it's now telling us where we are on our screen now. It's now asking if users are outside any of these four countries, what should happen? What do we want to do? What should happen? You can see. So I'm saying grant access. Under which condition should you grant access? Require multi-factor authentication from that user. So for user to now get access, the user must have set up um, authentication, multi-factor authentication, which we also know as two-factor, for that user to be able to sign in. Which means, let's assume the account is compromised and somebody is trying to gain access to it from outside of those country, then that is where the two factors come into play. But however, if I'm very sure that we don't have any partner or any contractor or anybody to work with outside these four country, then I can say outrightly, I can click on block. I don't need anybody to have access to anything, to any of our data from any other country aside from this session timeout. You can see. Can we see it also? Have I been able to accept the chat? I'm not sure of the chat you're talking about actually. So you can see use app enforce restriction, and they stated the applications that it works for, not everybody. You can see not everybody this works for. I don't know why our time is just flying and flying. So let me just stop there on the conditional access. As I said earlier, the reason why I'm not deeping dive into it is just for basic information regarding security and compliance, to be able to secure your people. But if you don't have access to some of these things, is because you don't have the role assigned. As I said earlier, you can go for Microsoft what is it called, trial tenants, and from the trial tenants you can test everything you want to do. So enable policy, no, I'm not going to enable this policy. As a matter of fact, I'm not even going to save this policy, so I won't log out users. So I won't log out users. So don't forget, once you want to create your conditional access, the first thing is name, location. Under name, location, we have countries and we have IP range. So for the VPN, somebody was asking VPN earlier. So this how VPN works. I'm coming. Let me quickly pick Paint. It's not part of our curriculum for today, but let me just explain that. Okay, so this is how VPN work. So if our network is 50 dot 10 dot 5 dot 2, then like that keeps going. I'm just an assumption. I'm not even sure this IP if it's a valid IP, but just an assumption. Then it continues like that, maybe to like 20. So this is our organization IP. So the IP range we have in that account is from 2 to 20. That is for those that gets me right. 10.50.5.3. Dots continue like that till we get to 20. Just an assumption. I'm not saying this IP address is correct before people start throwing me questions now. So how does VPN works? I've said that only people within this network should have access to our Microsoft 365. So now we have somebody outside this IP address. This person is working from home, and the person need to be within this our company. This is all our services, our internal application, and everything that we have. So this person needs to be inside there to have access to all what they need to work with. So once you switch on your VPN, depending on the VPN your organization is using, so normally your system can be 195.128.1. This is your normal system IP. You know that this IP now is not specified within the IP we have here in our conditional access, which means if this user should get to this place, remember what you have in our conditional access block, which means automatically this user, let me say, this is our company, Joseph Enterprise or Joseph. Hey, Allah have come today. It's Joseph that is coming to my mouth. Joseph Enterprise, and this is Jide. Jide is trying to access application in Joseph Enterprise, and this is my IP. So definitely, I will not have access to this. So that is when VPN comes to play. So if I put on my organization VPN, I will not be going in much into it on the technology of how things play out, but I will just say the basic things. So once I put on my VPN now, once I put on my VPN. So instead of this IP now going to this application, then the VPN will now change this IP to IP within my organization. So this guy now will be seeing me, though I'm not here, but it will be seeing my system as if it's within this our organization, Joseph Enterprise. Name cheap IP. So this once I put on my VPN, it will start seeing my device as if I'm within Joseph Enterprise, and with that, I will be able to access any application that we have within the organization. I think the person that is asking about VPN, you get that right. Let me know if I did justice to your question. So the next one we have on our screen before we continue. Wow, wow. Before we continue, just one question on conditional access. You can drop it in the group while we discuss on authentication method. So authentication method, we have different form of authentication method. From what you have on the screen, I like two majorly that I like most. Yeah, is the passkey, which is the FIDO2, and the Microsoft authenticator. Sorry, those are the two major things I make use of most of the time from my own end. So, what are these method of authentication that we have here? This method is the means in which a two-factor verification is done. two-factor verification is done. Earlier I mentioned that we'll be talking about the user access and two-factor authentication. And during our conditional access, you can see we are telling users that any users outside this organization that want to have access to our data's applications or anything that is coming into our organization resources must use two-factor authentication. However, for your company, you can decide to use a unique form of authentication, not a normal form of authentication. So the first one we have here, which are the built-in ones, you can actually add your external methods, which we will not be talking about today. We will only be talking about the built-in that Microsoft gave us suggestions, or the available ones that Microsoft have made ready for us. Meanwhile, these things we are seeing here, don't forget, they are license based. All these built-in, ready-made that we are seeing on my screen, everything are license based. You can see the other time I was showing you that I have P2 license. I have um, Entra ID P2 license. It's because of the P2 license I have, which is attached to the E5 license for my trial tenants, is the reason why you can see all these you have here. There are some tenants you might not have all these available options. You might not have all these available options. And if you look at our screen and you are feeling this is too rigid for you, as an admin, you want easier way of doing things. There are other way to it also, but you might not have all these options we have here. Let me show you quickly. Let's go back. So I'm back to our admin center. In case you feel lost, I'm back to our admin center. So this is our admin center, Microsoft 365 admin center. You can see these are our MFA. Get started. Wow. Wow. I think I have MFA enabled on this tenant. So why is it time to get started? Okay, so while we are waiting for it to load, let me come back to our enter. So we have our passkey, and the common passkey FIDO tool that people make use of is UB key, Ubicon key. I know some of my colleagues, commercial. Well, it depends. No, not really, but it depends. I'm just trying to um I don't want to broaden the scope of what you are talking about because you have limited time to discuss it. So that's why I'm restricting it to Microsoft and some other things that actually come in. I'm making use of it. So this passkey and Microsoft Authenticator, they are almost the same thing. They are almost the same thing. They are just different devices. Like you can see the next one, we have our SMS, we have the temporary access pass, we have the hardware OAuth token, which is still in preview. We have the third-party software OAuth token, we have the voice call, we have the email OTP, we have certificate-based authentication. So, but the common ones are the voice call, email OTP, and what SMS and Microsoft Authenticator, which are the common ones. Let me see if this is up. Sorry. Choose authentication method. Oh, adaptive MFA using conditional access. We've talked about that. You can see now it's asking me to choose authentication method. How many do you have here? One, two, three, four, five, six. You can see email. We have six here. How many do we have here? One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. You can see like the certificate base. We don't have it here. Let me just choose everything and click next. Next. Oh, why are you stressing me? So I don't know if we can work with this for tonight, because I actually have a ubiquitous key we can use, which is a one of the FIDO method to do what to. You can see it has all users by default. All users by default. So if I don't enable it yet, let me show you what it looks like. Oh, sorry. I don't know. I drag this. Okay. Let me show you what it look like. Let me just put the FIDO key so you see it. FIDO key, image. Can we see it? I believe you can all see my screen. You can see it's just like our flash drive. It's like our flash drive, but you can see this is Ubico key. So we have different form of FIDO key. It's just like our what is it called? Our bank token. Our bank token that is used to access our bank. So if I click on enable it, then user will have the option to set it up. So some organization they make use of this. Once they are onboarding you as staff, they send you both the PC you make use of and also this FIDO key to do what, to access your account. So while you are setting up your account, I don't know if I can do it for this account. I've enabled it. Where else? Sorry, I think I'm somewhere else. Let me click on save for FIDO key. Aside from FIDO key, which other one do you have? Which other one? SMS is off. Let me use Microsoft Authenticator. Let me enable it. So let me quickly run us through. Let me quickly run us to. Yes, FIDO key and Ubico key are the same thing. FIDO key is just the general name. I think Ubico key is one of the products. Like our toothpaste, we have close up and other things. So FIDO key and Microsoft Authenticator. Should we use email? We have email enabled. Let's just make use of these two quickly. Can we do it for this account? Let me see. What do we have left? Password reset. Wow, wow, wow. So if we want to go into setting it up, I'm not sure we'll be able to do anything else today. I'm not sure we'll be able to do anything else today. Hope you see what I click. I just click on my profile and I click on view my account. View my account. I want to see if we can add some of these things. So currently you can see my sign in method. So once the admin enable it at the other place the admin can also enforce it for all users that compulsorily you must set up two-factor authentication on your first sign in. Once you sign in, you put your password. The next thing it will ask you is for you to set up your authentication, your two-factor authentication. So now I think you can do one or two of them, which is the FIDO and the Authenticator app. I actually have both connected to this system. I have my Authenticator app on my phone. Which one should we do? Which one should we do? Should we go for Authenticator app first? Let's go for Authenticator app. And besides, you can see what we have here and what we have enabled. What we have enabled. Anything we don't have enabled, you will not see the options here. You have to enable it for your users for them to be able to see it here. I should zoom in, please. Wow. Check out fine now. Let me assume so. So let me click add authenticator app. So let me open my Microsoft Authenticator app. So I'm adding an account, work or office account. I think I'll use. So this is what we have. That is, even if you're signing in for the first time and you are forced to set up two-factor, once you are making use of the authenticator app, it's still the same step. Nothing is different. So don't say I just have to walk you into this place to bring out those steps. That is after you have signed in and you still want to set it up for your account. So you can still come there and do what and set it up, or you change your phone, or you want to change your phone and you want to change your authentication method, or you want to add to it, then you can always come here also to do that. So let's click on next. Let's click on next. So I'm making use of scan the barcode from my end. I'm making use of scan the barcode from my end, which is much more easier. So I've added it. See, it's asking me to press this number on my phone, then confirm. I've done that. You can see now that we have what? We have the authenticator app added to what? To our account. And the next thing we are adding is what? Security key. Are we using security key? I think we are good before you people make me scatter my account. So I would have want us to actually make use of the FIDO key also, but it's almost the same way we do our authenticator app. If you have it signed on your or plugged to your system already, it should automatically pick it, then you can do it. But however, what is it? Microsoft works yes as Google Authenticator app. Yes, I actually have both on my phone. For most some of my accounts, I have both the Microsoft Authenticator app and the Google app set up for both application, just one application, so I can make use of any of them if I want to have access to it. So, but some application does not allow it. You can only make use of one at a time. So, that being said, you can come back to our authentication method. So we have different options here. So whatever that is enabled, you love to see the FIDO key, maybe some other time, but I can tell you that it's almost the same thing. It's almost the same thing. You can say our time is fast spent and we still have two things to talk about: password reset and risky activities. Risky activities, and we have 3 minutes left because once it's 9:45, we have to leave the floor for Rafiah so she can come to make the announcements for the community. So Kelechi, I'm sorry about that. But if time permits, maybe some other time or next weekend we can start from there. If that is fine. Just remind me next weekend so we can start from there. So password reset. So, if we remember that this is where we stopped in Microsoft 365 Admin Center before we come to the Entra ID. You can see self-service password reset. So, as an admin, no, for Fido key, don't require application, but you need to have the key. You need to have the key, but depending on the kind of video key, because I remember there's a set of video key we used then. It used to have applications, it used to have one applications installed, but once you plug the video key to ask you to install that software, it comes with the key. Once you sign in, then you see an application that will come up like our authenticator app on your phone. Also, anytime you want to sign in, once you click on it, once you put your fingerprint, at times it automatically pick it. Sometimes you need to copy those number generated and put them before you proceed. But the video key I have now, the Ubiquitous key I have now, It's just a fingerprint. I don't need to do anything. After setting it up, once I want to access it, it will just tell me I should authenticate. I put my fingerprints, I put my place my finger on it, then I will have access to it. So let's come back to our password reset. So for the service password reset enabled, as admin, you don't want to give yourself headache of resetting password for users. Let's assume you have like 300 upward users, and you need to reset password for users daily because we have users in different organization. When I mention users, I mean the unique users. A unique a unique user. There are some unique users like that they forget their password almost every week. After the weekend, they come back, they tell you, forgotten my password. After the weekend, every weekend, even you it has gotten to a stage that you always expect them. If you don't see them that week, you need to reach out to them. Oh, hello sir. I called to ask if you are on leave because we've not seen you for password reset this week. So that will be much time consuming when you have a lot on your desk to do. But however, it also have its own what risk. That's its own risk. Which I'm getting some question. How can we do this for a single user who has issue with his or her phone, and we are now lift the MFA from their account? So if the user is having issue with his um phone, the user have other method of authentication now. So it depends on, that's why I said it depends on. If the user have Fido key, you can make use of Fido key. You can make use of what is it called now? Email OTP, which I'm not sure is still in use because some months ago I tried it, that was not working. But I think we still have that option also. But however, if none of that is working, then that person's account, you need to monitor it 247 in case of a compromise. If these are all what these are have is password. And besides, in this generation, who goes around um without a mobile phone, even if it is a button phone to receive SMS to send you the code, then you can do that. So you can always come to the so you can always go to the user. Once you click on the user here, I will not do that though. Once you click on the user, you see authentication. So you can always revoke the user MFA, then the user will need to sign in again. Perhaps when the user misplaces his or her phone, probably the SIM card have gone and the user is yet to retrieve that SIM card. So you can come here and revoke the MFA. Then the user will have to set up the MFA afresh, maybe with the new mobile number the user is using. And the other question, is there a way of getting a solution apart from removing 4 out of 9 global admin? Yes, if you remember it, he gave us option, a privilege admin role. So based on this user, what is telling me that 9 users, you can't tell me that all 9 users needed everything that we need in our organization. So which means there are some users they only need some applications or some data. So you should restrict those users to what they needed alone, not everything. As I said earlier, the reason why we have 9 global admin on this tenant is we use it to reproduce issues. We have some people that are working as senior technical support, IT support for, and in their organization they make use of Microsoft. Some work with Microsoft directly. So you will need a test environment. So they use this my tenants for reproducing issues. So that's why we have 9 global admin. And for us to be effective in doing all those things, so you need the global admin access. So that's why you see that we are that much on this tenant. So normally, if it was an organization, 9 global admin is much. However, it depends on the size of the organization. Even a bigger organization, you hardly see 5 global admin. Most time they have 3, 4 global admin, at times 1 or 2 global admin. But I always advise people to have at least 2 global admin in case someone signed you out, or one of the accounts you don't have access to it again, and you can sign in through the other one. If you check my tenants before I started adding other users, if I search my name now, you see that I have two global admins. Can you see? So both are myself. So you can see I have two global admin here. So I make use of these two before now, that in case I forget this, especially this username, you can see that this is very long. So I have it signed in on my system and some other places. So I can always sign in with this one. Even if you wake me up, I can tell you this username and the password. So in case I can't remember this user, I can always sign in as this user, sorry. So that's why it's always advisable you have two global admin in the tenant. So I think I've answered that question, and our time is gone already. So should we continue from password reset next week, or should we talk about it tonight? If we are going to talk about it tonight, we need to plead with Rafiah at first, and I will not want to take much of our time because I believe 99.9% of us are resuming back to work tomorrow, and our local time is almost 10 West African time. So we want to go and rest then before we proceed. Tonight, please. Tonight. Rafiat, what do you have to say?
Yeah, please continue. Continue. I was just giving thumbs up for all the things you were sharing. Continue. At least for the
Oh.
password reset. Thank you.
Okay,
Well
thank you.
done. Well done.
So,
Well done.
Jide, you are doing a very nice job from my end. Thank you so much for the ideas that you have shared. I just want to tip in something to the conversation ongoing about the number of global administrators that you can have in a
Okay.
tenant. So there's what is called PIM. I'm sure Jide is going to talk about that later.
Yeah.
PIM, which is Privilege
Privilege
Identity Management.
management.
So if you should not have more than four global administrator, and it's advisable you don't have less than two, because when one gets locked out, then the other one can rescue the account. But when you have a global tenant, we have some tenants that can span beyond 50, 60 countries, where you have people located in different parts of the world who are IT administrators who may want to carry out some roles that speak to what a global administrator can do. So, what you do in that scenario, yes, you have administrators that you have given rule on tenant level, and then you can set up what is called privileged identity management, so that if anybody within this other part of the world will need to have access to carry out an admin rule, then you can assign a temporary admin access on JIT, that is just in time request, so that when this person requests for access, with this IT admin request for access, the person gives a justification why he or she needs that access, and there is a settings that will speak to the number of hours that this person should have this right. And once that time elapses, then the person loses the access to carry out that rule, so that the job is not just on two people. So, for example, you go for an interview and they say you have a very large tenant that spans across tens of countries, and you have only a global admin. How do you reduce the job on the only two global admin if you advise against having more than four? So you can speak that you can have up more than four, but you have to exercise what is called JIT through privileged identity management. I don't know if this is going to help somebody, because you can have a very, very large tenant, yet that does not justify why you should have more than four global administrators. So thank you very much, Jide, for the nice job so far. I think the moderator has said he should ride on, but ride on with caution, because I know people will still go to work. Thank you.
Thank you, boss. Thank you for chipping that in. I think that actually answered the person that is asking Manuel. I think that answers your question. So somebody is asking, what about if all the global admin lose access? Well, I would not want you to go through that route because it won't be funny at all. So you have to raise a support request with Microsoft, and that support request will need to go to the data protection team. Though there's other method in which if admin a global admin forgets their password, there's a way to reset it. So I'll refer you to Joseph Afeso, my guy that just finished speaking now. I refer you to his YouTube channel. Go and look for that method for a global admin to reset their password. There is a method there. Go and look for it. I'm not going to tell you on your own. Go and learn about it. But aside from that, you have to raise a ticket with Microsoft. So it goes to the data protection team. They will ask you some confidential questions to be sure you own the tenant. Then they can help you resetting the global admin password. But aside from that, the second way is what I just mentioned now. So we can go there, and I think he has once dropped some of his materials in the before. But I don't know if you can as well just drop um not directly to that material. You can just give us a link to your channel, then they should go and look for the material. Or if you want to bless them, we can give them the straight the straightforward link. So let's continue with password reset. So let me
That would
continue from
be
okay, let me continue from where Joseph stopped. Let's assume you have 2,000, 3,000. There are some tenants that have more than 10,000 users, 10,000 users around the world. So you will not want to say like a friend currently is working with one of the biggest company in Nigeria currently, and he said they have about 17,000 users. Now imagine you have 17,000 users, and I can tell you out of that 70,000 users, you have a regular customer that will always reach out to you either every week or every month that they've forgotten their password. They've forgotten their password. Now imagine a week you have like, let me just assume like 200, 300 users that want to reset their password, which means the technical support won't have anything doing than resetting password for the entire week. Maybe 60% or 50% of what will be done that week will be resetting password for users, resetting password, resetting password. Now imagine as the global admin, the entire request coming to you is to reset password. And for you to be a global admin in that kind of organization, most time they are CTO. And if you are a CTO in an organization or the owner of the organization, which means you have a lot on your desk than coming to reset password again and again. So you can enable the self password reset for users. And I said it has disadvantage. The disadvantage is this: if your system should go into the wrong hands, they can easily do what? Change your password. Let me assume that on a Christmas Eve, especially in this part of the world, I don't know other parts of the world, Christmas Eve, your account is compromised. Definitely, and somebody resets your password, you're unable to sign in. I can tell you like 90%, I can guarantee you 90% that you'll not be able to reach any of the people that will help you, any of the technical person that will help you. You might not be able to reach them. Now imagine what will happen between 24th, 25th, 26th, work resume back 27th. You've given them close to 72 hours to do whatever they need to do on that account, probably to some private data that shouldn't have gotten to a third party and is now out of the organization now. There will be issues. So which is one of the disadvantage of self password reset. The fourth. No, we are not talking about when we have the default security policy. We are assuming that here now we have it disabled. We are not saying when we have it enabled. For us to enable MFA and others now, we must have disabled it. So the safe password, but this only work for cloud only users. If the user is synced from on-prem, this will not work for that user. So I think we've talked about that. And the next thing we want to talk about is the authentication method, which we have done. So now what you have here is you can see how many form of authentication should be required to reset um password. Can you see what I'm talking about now? So for you to reset, how many form of authentication is what is required from that user? I think there are some crypto exchange. I think Gate.io. If you want to reset your password, you have to use two authentication method for you to be able to do that. More than one, which means after I go to my authenticator app to get the code, they will still send another code to my email that I still need to add um to for me to be able to reset my password. So the same thing we have here now. We have email and mobile phone, which means a code will be sent to your email, alternative email, and another code will be sent to your mobile, maybe via SMS or voice. Then before you be able to reset your password. So depending on what you can see that I keep saying it that depending on what your organization do, what approves. Some organization will say yes, it's fine with us. Some will say use one. Some will say no, we don't want it. So it depends on what your organization do, what approves, then to now determine what exactly you will be making use of. In a standard organization, all this you have to present it to board of director. Why do we need to do this? How are we going to do it? Hope it will not affect users. Then they approve it before you go ahead. So they might edit it and remove some things. This is 10 on dots. 10 on dots. Let me skip. So notification, you can see notify user on password reset, notify all admin. When other admin reset their password, you can see, and this is always the recommendation. So user gets notified when their password is reset. So once you receive a prompt, your password is reset, they'll be asking you if you are the person or not. If you are not the person, click on this so you can alert the admin. So I'm just trying to be fast as we can. So this is just a summary of the policy we have here for the password reset. You can see on-prem integration. We don't have on-prem here. We are talking majorly on cloud. We don't have anything integrated here on this particular tenant. If there is need for it, I have another tenant integrated with Exchange on-prem that we can discuss that. So we have the audit. I said earlier, somebody was mentioning, can we know what was done, how it was done, this, that, this, you can see. So the audit will show us what is happening. You can see save password. If we make any changes, does the user do this? This one is for the entire organization, what we have here. But if you want for just one user, you can always click on that user's name. Then you will see almost the same thing we have here on that user. So you see only the activity done on by that user or on that user's account is what you'll be seeing here. Only the activity done on that user's account that you'll be seeing here. Here now is just for every user globally is what you see here. That's why you are seeing some of these things here. You can see the usage and insights. See, so they are telling us, most of us we are IT users, so we don't set up a lot of things only when we just need to reproduce them. The entire tenants, as you are seeing here, I think I'm the only one that have authentication MFA set up for one of my accounts. So lastly, we stop here today. So we'll talk about the risk activities, risk user details. You can see now, you can see one user have been flagged already, and the user is a global admin. So they are asking me now to confirm. You can see here, I can push this user for password reset. I can say confirm. I can confirm that the user account is compromised. Coming. I can confirm that the user account is safe. I can say dismiss this. I can say block user. So if I don't have any information about this person and this person have been flagged, probably the person is on holiday or the person is not around. As I said earlier, Christmas Eve, and as an admin, I get the prompt. I can decide to block this user. See you when we get information from the user at resumption. We can send email to the user's supervisor or a senior colleague so they can get information from that person that okay, we notice um some accounts, somebody sign into your account from a location that is not our location. Recently we discovered in my place of organization that some users accounts, we thought it was compromised. I think that user account is signing from the US. Meanwhile, the last update we have on the person was the person is in Nigeria, and we are getting some alerts that the person is signing in from the US. So later we get to know that the user have some applications like VPN on, which is making it look as if the user is working directly from the US. That's why it is being flagged by our firewall. So tonight we'll just stop here for the um risk user details. So if I decide to block this user, then this user will not have any access to our application again. And if you want to get some details, you can always give you some details. If you need some insights regarding the users, it's provided. You see unfamiliar signing, perform secured. You can see some of the thing that was done by the user, the reason why the user was actually flagged. Then you do what? You will see it. You will see it here. So we'll stop here tonight. Stop here tonight. Then next week we'll go to other thing. Let's see what we have on our curriculum for next week. So we've talked about the entire identity. So Microsoft Secure Score, I think we even have it on our screen already. Then maybe we start from there next week to discuss other things. Okay, identity score. So we start. I think this is the last thing we'll be talking about here. Then the next thing we're going back to our purview and our defender there to talk about other things. The reason why we came to this Microsoft ID Extra is because we are talking about password and we are talking about user identity, and this is the major places where these users identity are managed: the Microsoft 365 Admin Center and the Entra ID. Thank you. If you have any question, you can drop it in the group. If not, Rafiat, the floor is open to you.
Thank you so much, Jide.